There is a very specific, a very unique type of anxiety that comes with business travel.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't mean the fear of flying or like the turbulence. I'm talking about that specific moment when the plane wheels touch the tarmac,
Hmm.
you're tired, your phone immediately lights up with 40 emails you missed, you have a pitch deck you need to review for a meeting in an hour, and suddenly you're standing on a curb.
The friction point.
Exactly. It's the friction point. You're wrestling with your luggage, you're staring at a phone screen trying to get a signal, you're watching the little car icon spin around, praying a driver actually accepts your ride. It's stressful.
It is. It's that gap between arrival and actually getting to work. And that
Yeah.
gap is usually where all the chaos creeps in.
Right. And I think for most of us, we just accept that friction as, the cost of doing business. We think,
Mhm.
okay, book the flight, grab a cab, maybe hail a rideshare, and that's the end of it. It's just logistics. It's a chore.
Yeah.
But we have a stack of sources today that argues we're looking at this completely wrong. We're going to be doing a deep dive into a guide from Ontario Airport Limo, and their premise is honestly fascinating because it just flips the script.
It does.
They argue that we need to stop looking at ground transport as a chore and start looking at it as a strategic weapon.
It is a total reframe of the concept. We are diving into a primary source titled Elite Executive Logistics, Ontario Corporate Transportation Guide. And what strikes you immediately when you read through this is the tone.
Tone, yeah.
They aren't selling a ride. They aren't selling four wheels and an engine. They are selling elite executive logistics. They're making the case that how you move from point A to point B is actually a critical component of your productivity and your brand image.
A strategic tool. I love that. It sounds intense, but when you break it down, it actually makes sense. So our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack that claim. We want to understand how professional corporate transportation, specifically this black car service model, claims to redefine business travel. We're moving away from just simple movement, just getting your body to the meeting, and looking at this as an exercise in, well, impression management and efficiency.
That is the core distinction the source makes. It covers fleet options, core services, and the deep philosophy behind professional chauffeuring versus the variability of the gig economy.
Right.
And it raises a really interesting point about the value of what happens during the transit. It asks you, the reader, to audit your travel time.
Okay, but before we get into the gears and the leather seats, let's address the elephant in the room. Because I know what some listeners might be thinking.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Is a limo service actually necessary? Because
Yeah.
for a lot of people, the word limo conjures up images of like prom night or bachelorette party.
Or rock star in the 80s hanging out the sunroof.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is this just a luxury perk for executives who think they're too good to drive?
It is a fair skepticism. That is absolutely the stereotype we have culturally. But if you look closely at the source text, the answer they provide is rooted in something very specific and very pragmatic.
Which is?
The cost of time and the cost of error. The guide argues that in high-stakes business, unplanned delays don't just annoy you, they actually damage credibility. They frame reliable transport not as a perk, but as an operational necessity.
An operational necessity.
It's about risk mitigation.
That's a strong pivot from luxury. So let's unpack this. This brings us to section 1 of our analysis, the philosophy of efficiency. The source uses this phrase, not just a ride, and they highlight a concept of maximizing productivity while traveling.
Right. Let's break down the economics of attention here, because this is the foundation of their whole argument. Think about the typical travel experience. If you're driving yourself, say you rented a car in a city you don't know well, where is your brain?
My brain is in survival mode.
Exactly. Your eyes are on the road, you're navigating aggressive traffic, you're watching for exits you've never taken before, you're checking the GPS every 10 seconds. You're dealing with a massive amount of cognitive load just to survive the commute.
And even if you aren't driving, say you're in a standard app-based rideshare, you aren't driving, but you aren't exactly relaxed either.
Even then, the environment is totally uncontrolled. Is the car clean?
Yeah.
Is the driver trying to chat you up about his screenplay? Is the radio blasting commercials? Maybe the suspension is shot and you're feeling every single pothole.
Right.
In that environment, you aren't working. You're just enduring.
You're just existing, waiting to arrive.
Yeah.
And probably draining your battery, refreshing your email.
Precisely. Now contrast that with the picture painted by the Ontario Airport Limo Guide. They suggest turning that transit time into, well, billable work time. They describe their vehicle specifically as quiet and Wi-Fi enabled.
It sounds simple, quiet, and Wi-Fi, but the implication is pretty profound for a busy professional.
It is?
It's not a car anymore, it's a mobile office.
That is the goal. This environment allows executives to conduct sensitive calls, hold virtual meetings, or review complex documents. You cannot effectively review a spreadsheet with thousands of rows if you're worried about missing your exit.
Or if the driver slams on the brakes every 2 minutes.
Exactly.
Hmm.
By removing the chaos of public transport or the cognitive load of driving, you reclaim those hours.
I really like that term, cognitive load. We totally underestimate how draining the act of commuting is. The source also emphasizes peace of mind, which, sounds a bit like a yoga studio.
It does a little bit.
But in this context, it means something else.
It does, and the source makes a specific point about this regarding the driver's role, which we'll get to. But fundamentally, when you use a service like this, you are outsourcing the stress.
Okay.
They handle the navigation, they monitor the traffic patterns, they know the shortcuts.
So you aren't staring at Google Maps watching the red line get longer and your blood pressure going up. You can actually look out the window or close your eyes.
Exactly. The source argues that this frees the executive's mind to focus on business strategy. Or, and this is important too, simply to relax and recharge before a high-stakes meeting.
That's crucial. We don't talk enough about energy management.
Well, think about it. If you arrive at a negotiation stressed from traffic, frantic because you couldn't find parking, and sweating because you had to run 2 blocks, you are already at a disadvantage.
You're starting on your back foot.
You are. This service claims to deliver you to the door ready to perform.
It's about arriving at 100% capacity.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've established the philosophy. It's a mobile office that saves your brain power. Now let's talk about the hardware. Section 2 is about the fleet.
Right.
Because the source makes it clear this isn't a one-size-fits-all situation where you just get whatever car is closest to you on a map.
No, and that's a hallmark of professional logistics versus just catching a ride. You match the tool to the job. The guide enthusiastically breaks down fleet options tailored for executives. They view the vehicle as an asset class, and you choose the asset based on the mission.
Let's run through these, because I think the variety speaks to the different use cases. First up, they list luxury sedans.
These are described as quiet, comfortable, and discreet. The source positions these as ideal for the solo executive. Think of this as the deep work pod. This is your mobile office, for one.
Right, privacy focus.
Exactly. It's about a low profile. You're slipping into the city, getting the work done, and getting out. It's efficient.
Then you have the luxury SUVs. Now, I see SUVs everywhere, but the source frames this differently.
Right. And here, the guide points out that these are spacious and positioned as ideal for teams and client transport. This is a whole different dynamic. If you're traveling with your legal team, or maybe you're picking up a client from the airport.
You can't cram them into the back of a compact sedan.
No. That would be a terrible start to a meeting. Hey, squeeze in, sorry about the legroom, ignore the gym bag. It sets the wrong tone.
Yeah.
The SUV offers a boardroom dynamic on wheels. You have space to converse face-to-face. You can lay out papers. You can actually hold a pre-meeting briefing in the car.
And finally, they mention vans and mini coaches.
Which is, for the larger groups, specifically mentioned for conferences or events. If you have a whole delegation coming in for a summit, you need to move them together.
It keeps the team cohesive.
It does. I mean, the logistics of trying to coordinate 5 different ride shares for 10 people is a nightmare. Someone always gets lost. Someone is always late. A mini coach solves that instantly. Everyone arrives at the same time.
Now, beyond just the type of car, the source talks a lot about the condition of these vehicles, and I feel like this is a direct shot at the variability of rideshares.
Oh, for sure.
We've all been in that car that smells a little weird, has crumbs on the seat.
Or a mysterious stain. Yeah, it's a valid concern. The source explicitly notes that their vehicles are meticulously detailed, sanitized, and maintained, and they connect this directly to the professional image argument, meaning that arriving in a pristine luxury vehicle enhances your credibility. It's optics. If you roll up to sign $1 million contract and you get out of a dirty hatchback with a dent in the bumper, it sends a subliminal message.
A lack of care.
Right, or a lack of resources. But if you step out of a meticulously maintained black car, it signals precision. It signals that you care about the details.
Yep. It's part of the uniform, essentially, like wearing a tailored suit versus sweatpants.
That's a perfect analogy. The car is an extension of the suit. It is part of the package you present.
Okay, so we have the philosophy, we have the cars, but a car doesn't drive itself. Well, not yet. Let's talk about Section 3, the human element. The source draws a pretty hard line between a driver and a chauffeur. Is that just semantics?
The source argues it is definitely not semantics. This is actually critical. The text uses some very specific adjectives to describe the staff. They are courteous, discreet, and professionally trained.
Discreet stands out to me. Why is that highlighted so much in a transportation guide?
Think about what happens in these cars. We just called it a mobile office. That means sensitive business discussions are happening, mergers and acquisitions, personnel issues, trade secrets.
Oh.
If you are in a random rideshare, you have no guarantee of confidentiality. You don't know who that driver is. You don't know if they have a dash cam recording or who they might talk to later.
That's a chilling thought. You could be leaking strategy without even knowing it.
A professional chauffeur operates under a code of conduct. They know that what is said in the car stays in the car. It allows for open communication between team members while in transit. You can speak freely.
That's huge. You really can't put a price on that kind of privacy in certain industries. And then there's the operational side of it. The source talks a lot about punctuality and safety.
Yes. And it's not just trying to be on time. The source mentions specific tactics. These drivers monitor traffic patterns proactively. But the big one, the one that really solves that airport anxiety we started with, is real-time flight tracking.
Oh, I love this feature. So if my flight is delayed, I don't have to stress about texting my driver while I'm at 30,000 feet.
Correct. They are watching the flight data. They know you are delayed before you even land. The source emphasizes that this ensures on-time arrivals regardless of the variables. The driver adjusts their schedule to you, not the other way around.
That is the definition of seamless.
It is. And on the safety front, they mention strict adherence to safety rules and regular vehicle inspections.
Which, again, contrasts with the gig economy where vehicle inspection can be, let's say, loose.
Real loose, yeah.
I've been in cars where the check engine light was basically a dashboard decoration.
Right. And the source actually quotes their stance on this. They say, unlike rideshares, this service guarantees consistency and reliability. You know exactly what you are getting every single time. There is no rolling the dice.
It's a controlled variable in a chaotic world. Okay, moving on to Section 4. Complex logistics and use cases. Because we talked about getting from A to B, but business travel is rarely that simple, is it?
It rarely is a straight line. The source explores core services that go way beyond a simple airport run. Although they do specifically mention airport transfers for Ontario International Airport and stress the stress-free aspect, which, if you know California airports, is a major selling point.
It really is. But what about when you're on the ground? The source mentions executive meetings.
This is where the service becomes a true logistical asset. Think of the hourly charter model. The chauffeur waits. Or they manage the logistics while the executive is in the meeting. You walk out of your meeting, and the car is right there at the curb.
So you aren't standing on a curb in the rain, refreshing an app, waiting for it to say driver found.
Exactly. That seamlessness is what they seem to be selling. Keeps the momentum of the day going. And it scales up. The guide highlights multi-city travel and road shows.
Road shows are absolute beasts to manage. That's when you're doing like an IPO roadshow or a sales blitz, right? Hitting 5 different investors in one day.
Yes, and the timing is incredibly tight. You might have 45 minutes between meetings in different parts of the city. They have coordinated routes for complex itineraries.
I see.
And the source mentions customized itineraries that can handle recurring trips or last-minute changes. If a meeting runs long or the location changes, a professional service pivots with you. A standard app might just charge you a cancellation fee and leave you stranded.
And we have to circle back to that impression argument again here. The source argues that this kind of transportation helps make strong impressions.
It's a strategic decision to build trust. Imagine you are meeting a potential partner. If you are 20 minutes late because your rideshare canceled on you 3 times, you have damaged your credibility before you even shake hands.
Wow.
The source argues that reliability is a form of currency in business.
That's a powerful way to put it. Reliability is currency.
I mean, think about the subconscious question you are planting in their mind. If you can't manage your own arrival, can you manage their account? Can you manage their money?
Oof. Yeah, that hits home. It's a test of competence before the meeting even starts.
It is.
All right, let's look at the evidence. Section 5 covers real-world evidence and booking. Because anyone can write a nice brochure and say, we are the best, but does it actually work in the wild? The source includes some testimonials.
They do. They cite real-world benefits through the voices of clients. For instance, there's a quote from a Michael R., a CEO. He says that the punctuality and professionalism transformed our executive travel experience.
Transformed is a strong word for a car ride. Usually you just hope it's fine.
It is a strong word. It implies that before this, travel was a pain point. It was a drag on the company. Now it's an asset. It has moved from a problem column to a solved column for him.
And there's another one from a Samantha L., a CFO.
She describes this service as reliable, stylish, and efficient. And she specifically notes its value for client meetings, which reinforces the idea that this isn't just about the executive's personal comfort. It's about the face of the company. A CFO is looking at the ROI. She's seeing value in the expense because of how it impacts client relationships.
So if our listeners are convinced, if they are sitting there thinking, okay, I need to stop stressing out, how do they actually access this? The guide is pretty specific on the booking process.
They make it very accessible. They seem to want to remove friction from the booking process itself. According to the text, you can make an online reservation or call directly. They list the phone number as 909-657-0434.
Okay, 909-657-0434. Got it. And for those who like to know where a business actually lives, do they have a physical location?
They do. It's listed as 2337 S Greenwood Place, Apartment C, in Ontario, California.
And when you book, you aren't just saying send a car. You can request the specific vehicle we talked about.
Yes, this is key. You can specify sedans, SUVs, or vans to match that specific business need we discussed. You tailor the asset to the mission. You don't just order transportation.
I love that phrasing, tailor the asset to the mission. It makes it sound so tactical. But that's really what this whole deep dive has been about.
It is.
It's about shifting the mindset from getting a ride to executing a logistics plan.
That is the takeaway. It's professionalizing a part of our work life that we usually just treat as an afterthought.
So let's wrap this up. We've gone through the philosophy of the mobile office, the strategic diversity of the fleet, the discretion of the chauffeurs, and the complex logistics. The summary of value here is pretty clear.
It is. The main takeaway from the source, Elite Executive Logistics, is that this service is not just about luxury. I mean, sure, the leather seats are nice.
And the water bottles are convenient, yeah.
Exactly. But it's fundamentally about elevating your business travel. It's a tool to maximize productivity, reclaiming those lost hours, and to secure a professional image.
It's about not letting the friction of travel grind down your effectiveness.
Precisely. It's about control. Controlling your environment, controlling your time, and controlling your image.
And just to remind everyone, the provider we've been analyzing today is Ontario Airport Limo. The source mentions they can also be found on Facebook, Instagram, Yelp, and Google Maps if you want to do your own recon.
Always good to check the sources.
Before we sign off, I want to leave the listeners with something to think about. We've talked a lot about the cost of the car service. It's obviously going to be more than a standard rideshare. But what about the other side of the ledger?
This brings us to a final, somewhat provocative thought derived from the source's logic. In business, we are obsessed with ROI, return on investment. We scrutinize every budget line item. But consider this.
Okay.
If time is truly money, and for most executives, their hourly rate is significant, and a chaotic commute drains your mental energy before you even reach the office, is sticking to standard travel actually costing your business more in lost productivity than the price of a private chauffeur?
That is a very expensive question to answer if you get it wrong. It's the opportunity cost of a bad mood or a tired brain.
It certainly is. Sometimes the cheapest option is the most expensive in the long run.
Something to mull over the next time you're stuck in traffic on the 10 freeway, just staring at brake lights. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Stay productive.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.